To be partnering with the Alan Jackson Ministries, and today I want to point you to
the liberal he ends up debating, or whatever you want to call him these days. At the beginning said something interesting. So I thought, oh, what the hell? I might as well react to this if I'm going to watch it anyway. Just because I interjected in that moment. I thought it was a useful moment. So let's take a look. It's about 7 minutes in.
Podcast. It's called Culture and Christianity, the Alan Jackson Podcast. What makes it unique is Pastor Alan's biblical perspective. He takes the truth from the Bible and applies it to issues that we're facing today: gender confusion, abortion, immigration, Doge, Trump, and the White House, issues in the church. He doesn't recognize the power wherever you get your podcasts and other thought-provoking teachings.
What advice would you give people on choosing the best barber?
Use the Cut app so you can find a barber that don't.
We'll be signing hats as well, and God bless you guys. We're going to have a great time. Thank you. Okay, hello, yes.
Hello, my name is Yardo. I have a small YouTube channel. I'm a political commentator as well, much smaller than you are. I just wanted to thank everybody at Turning Point USD for having this debate, and also I would thank the Turning Point USA, San Diego State, because they gave a voice to one of my dear friends who was a victim at the October 7th Nova Music Festival, and his name is Muzai. I really appreciate that you guys did that, and you have my sincere gratitude. I'd also
keep
like
the last video in mind. This is the guy they choose to
This is a message
shoot.
for the far left first, and then we'll get into what I highly disagree with you about. But I just read Hassan Piker's New York Times article where he claims that he did not stifle free speech in his chat. I do not believe that's true, because I was banned multiple times for having a simple disagreement with him. That is one thing on the right you guys do far better, is not creating echo chambers, and this is a complete amazing thing you guys are doing right now. And I just want to let you know, right now, Hassan Piker, I will donate $5,000 to Palestine if you debate me. Now, and I 100% mean that, and I will make sure that is as public as possible. My question for you, Charlie, is I just want to make it clear, I am against affirmative action. Of course, I do not believe, as a disabled person myself, I do not believe that affirmative action is the entirety of what DEI entails. That being said, I would be fine with DEI gotten rid of if it meant the merit of a true meritocracy in the United States. But why would I trust Donald Trump to create a meritocracy when he himself has appointed the least accomplished and the least, essentially, yeah, perfect word, the least accomplished cabinet in U.S. history, at least in my opinion. If you disagree, I can explain why I feel that way.
Well, first of all, one thing doesn't have to do with the other, but I'm going to reject the premise that it's the least qualified cabinet ever, so we could talk about that. But even if it was just Donald Trump picking his family members, it has nothing to do with the merits of DEI or getting rid of DEI, right? So that's a red herring. They actually have nothing one to do with the other. One's a repeal of a policy, one is your critique of a cabinet. So which one would you rather debate? Would you rather debate DEI and all of its implications, or Trump's cabinet? It seems like you have more problems with Trump's cabinet, because we actually might be on the same side of meritocracy. So want to talk about the cabinet? Whichever you prefer.
Yeah, we can talk about it. I personally don't see it as a red herring, but we can talk about that.
Well, yeah, one doesn't have anything to do with the other, right? I mean,
This sure looks like an event that needs to, somebody needs to put a stop to this, this polite and civil conversation. We can't have that.
The way that I see it is that when a lot of people talk about, when they're talking about their choice to vote for Kamala or Trump instead of Kamala, they talk about the personal aspects of Donald Trump that make them want to trust him, right? A lot of people trust him. You can see the way that people look. I mean, everybody's wearing the MAGA hats. People trust him. Why would I trust him?
Okay. So yeah, that is your contention. So
yeah.
What about his cabinet is unqualified? Let me just ask you a couple examples. So, I mean, Scott Bessent, who's one of the most accomplished bond salesmen and individuals in the hedge fund space ever, right? That's not unqualified. Pete Hegseth, who's actually a frontline warfighter, unlike Lloyd Austin, who never fought a war in his life, right? We have Kristi Noem, who was an accomplished congresswoman and governor from a major state running Department of Homeland Security. You have Howard Lutnick, who's a very famous and well-known financial mind and titan from
RFK Jr. absolutely slaying everything in sight.
Marco Rubio, who was a very well-respected U.S. Senator on Foreign Affairs, who's now doing a great job as Secretary of State. So build out your argument why you think this cabinet is unqualified. seems to me very, very qualified, actually, across the board.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to start with, I mean, this is the most obvious one, and I have many other examples that I'd like to get into, but Pete Hegseth, you mentioned, I think that is kind of, I don't really understand why you would mention somebody that leaked war chats to a liberal journalist. To me, that doesn't seem like the kind of person that I would want to be.
Well, hold on, time out. That he did not leak it. First of all.
Okay, well, he added the person.
The person who actually is responsible was just removed as national security advisor today.
Oh, you mean the person who was the fall guy for Pete Hegseth's problem?
No, he added somebody without his knowledge. But fine.
Okay, so why would he see him? Why would he see the person who's in the chat before talking about war policy?
So, time out. Just so we're clear, I'm sure you've been added to group chats with 30 or 40 people sometimes, and you enter in with trust that every acronym is.
I will say one thing about the government back in the day and before globalization. Pretty sure isn't Signal fucking Israeli or whatever. Regardless, you know what I mean? It's the kind of thing where you look at the German Air Force and the Israeli Air Force, and you know, the Israeli Air Force having like something like 350 or more F-16s, F-15s. They got like one of the largest air forces comprised of American jets, if not the largest, next to Germany on the planet. I don't know if they still have those large numbers, but especially you look over at Germany and you go, why is your fucking Air Force all American planes? You don't have your own shit. You know, it's kind of depressing. But, you know, no American official, no government official should be communicating with any other government official on any kind of app, group chat. I mean, government officials, to be quite honest, you shouldn't even have a cell phone. You shouldn't even, I mean, I understand having a cell phone and tweeting and doing the social media routine and conversing with the people and all that, but for official government channels, you should have some kind of proprietary, American-made, weird, you know, communicator device that only pictures of exist. You know what I mean? Why are you even taking the chance with using a normal cell phone? This just bugs me that, you know, people like the president, like the nuclear football, for instance, is some weird computer shit that we made, that the CIA made in, like, you know, I don't know how long that's been around, so I'm just going to say 1970. The CIA made the nuclear football out of random crap in 1970, and that's why they trust the thing, you know? It's not going to be hacked. It's made out of secondhand Atari parts. Fucking... So I just think, like, your government officials, it just weirds me out that, like, whole countries are posting on fucking Twitter, but we don't have, like why are our government officials talking in group chats and having shit leaked? That's stupid.
Actually, a government official. Obviously, that will not happen again. Just so we're clear, Signal was an approved chat by the Biden administration. It's an approved secure channel by.
I'm not talking shit on Signal.
However, time out. Let me ask you a question about Pete Hegseth. Would you rather have a warfighter or a bureaucrat run the United States military?
I would rather have somebody that doesn't have a history of alcoholism. I'd rather have somebody that, I mean, realistically.
Wow. So do you think how about Mark Milley and Lloyd Austin? Were they better at running the U.S. military than Pete Hegseth?
I mean, I think you're going to probably start talking about
That's
how
why the liberals don't like Russia.
So
history of
the military is
alcoholism.
up majorly. Thank you, Pete Hegseth. He's doing a pretty
Wait
good job.
until they discover Ireland.
Procurement, we're saving money. Estimates are that we'll save hundreds of billions of dollars in efficiency. War games are up. The amount of war games we're doing in the Southeast Pacific has increased by 30%. This is a military town here in San Diego. They have a massive increase in people wanting to join the Navy, want to join the military. That wasn't happening under Biden. Morale is actually 30 points higher now that Pete Hegseth, a warfighter, is running the U.S. military.
We have a complete difference. We'll never going to agree on this.
No, but not agree, but show then
prove here comes the key moment.
That is worse with the U.S. military now that Pete Hegseth's in control.
The numbers that you're talking about are numbers that I actually actively do not care about, because I think that we have an overly powerful military, and I think too much of our money goes to the military.
No, but like.
Now Charlie doesn't stop and hold him up here and go, hold up, key moment, everybody. Take a look at what he just said. fact, let's pull that back again. Let's get that key moment that is just so key and exemplary, or such a great example. This is what it is when you boil it down. So many people have said this, and Alex Jones says it all the time. But this is the dynamic in play, and you're getting to see it happen in real time.
Massive increase in people wanting to join the Navy, want to join the military. That wasn't happening under Biden. Morale is actually 30 points higher now that Pete Hegseth, a warfighter, is running the U.S. military.
Oh, that's not good. I don't like that, he says.
Not agree, but show me, then prove the evidence. What is one number that is worse with the U.S. military now?
They're all worse, he says.
The numbers that you're talking about are numbers that I actually
That's what he's saying.
do not care about, because I think that we have an overly powerful military, and I think too much of our money goes to the military.
No, I know, but tell me one thing he's done, numerically, empirically.
You see what he said there? So basically, Hegseth is doing a bad job. See, he's debating from a drowning man's position, trying to chip away at the land that you're standing on, and Charlie just needs to step on his fucking head, basically. So he's not having a discussion of $300 toilet seats like Mike Rowe, and making the military contracting system more efficient, or something productive like that. He's debating from the position of hating the country and the military. You see how that works? Maybe this guy isn't one of these dudes. He seems pretty reasonable. He isn't one of these dudes who is outright hateful of the country, right? But so you can just take that dynamic and apply it there. The way this debate has unfolded so far, where he says, well, actually, I don't care about any of those numbers because the military is too big. So what the takeaway from that is that Pete Hegseth is doing a bad job because the morale points are up 30 points. We don't like that. It's bad. You see? Do you see? This is the crux of the issue. You boil down most of this shit, and you realize that the reason why these people are, again, not necessarily talking about this dude, but this is all of this video that I've watched so far. But when you see these debates and you wonder why the leftists trying to debate they're so sneering and just fucking weaselly and shit, it's because they're, he's at the little kids table and trying to drag you over to the little kids table, to put it in Alex Jones's terminology. He doesn't want to have the real debate of whether or not we need a strong military. He wants to drag you over to the little kids' table and debate with you, under the false pretense that he cares whether or not the military is strong. He wants to debate with you whether or not fucking Hegseth is doing a good job. Over at the adult table, if you came out and truthfully debated this, the debate would be, I don't think we should have a strong military. That's a totally different debate than Pete Hegseth is doing a bad job. So, and then it's like, well, why even have this pointless straw man argument with Kirk, and then demask yourself with a stupid throwaway line of, well, actually, to me, I want these numbers to be the opposite. You see what I'm saying? So let's see. I'll go, I guess, for 10 more minutes, or I'll get a couple of more things, maybe. I don't know.
I would say his inconsistent foreign policy, where he backs on statements depending on whether or not.
You don't care. You want it to be the opposite, the inverse. You apply his logic to the rest of everything else.
Trump is
Oh, no,
talking
I
about, like,
brain
in the beginning,
farted it.
We were talking about what happened with Ukraine and
Just
Russia.
another
they've had
metaphor for the
disagreements
same
already
thing.
Within the first couple months of the administration.
What? But first of all,
Like, you could basically apply it. You could apply that to any aspect of the country, though.
the president is the commander in chief, so he executes the running of the military.
I'm just saying that there
he's
has
the
been
operationals manager.
I
right?
understand that.
And so when you want a military, you have recruitment going up, you have war games going up, you have morale going up. You have, by the way, how about this? Do you agree that physical fitness standards for men and women should be the same in the U.S. military?
Yes.
Pete Hegseth is to thank for that. He has brought physical fitness standards to be the same for men and women. Lloyd Austin didn't do that. Mark Milley didn't do that. Do you also agree that we should not have like transgender pronoun type policing of our military members on the front lines of combat?
See, the thing is
Pete
that
Hegseth has gotten rid of all that, but I'm
I-
saying you're trying to make a contention that he's not qualified.
Okay.
The military is in a much better place thanks to him only after 100 days, man. And that's the that is the weakest example of all the ones that you have in the cabinet. You didn't address Rubio, you didn't address Noem, you didn't address Besson, you didn't address Lutnick, you didn't address Bobby Kennedy, you didn't address all these people. So I have to
Okay,
ask
well,
you
I
the
can
question.
continue. I can
No, but-
continue addressing people.
But every one of these departments is in a substantially and an empirically better place than it was.
Okay,
even after
including the
100 days.
Department of Education that's been completely.
Apply his logic. Apply his logic. Apply his logic. Doesn't like the country. Doesn't want us to be successful. This is the leftist logic. And so this guy may be operating at a lower level paradigm where he himself doesn't understand why he's coming from the position that he's coming from. But that is the mechanic at play here. So, no. The population is too high. There are too many white people. We need more poisons in the food. Bobby Kennedy, RFK Jr., he's doing a bad job. You get more chemicals in there. All right? Less farming, less cow farts. Open the border. Don't debate with this dude whether or not somebody tasked with monitoring the border is doing a good job from that position, from this lens of that being the framing, when that's a fake argument. This guy is play arguing with you, and his real position is, his real debate he wants to have is whether or not we should have the border be open.
Defunded, and somebody who literally
I'm so glad it's being defunded.
Okay, I bet you are, but guess what?
He
Most
ran on
Americans aren't, and that's
Well,
the
that's
reality.
Wrong. Donald
Okay,
Trump.
yeah, just because you have a bunch
No.
of people here saying that
No,
doesn't
hold
mean
on.
that's the
Let me
reality.
prove it to you. Donald Trump ran on a pledge to get rid of the Department of Education. We can agree with that? No, yes or no?
He doesn't want you to homeschool your kids. Again, not insulting, not like I don't know this guy, but this is the dynamics. He's used to his liberal talking points and his liberal way of arguing, and the liberals around him in his school, so he argues a certain way.
Yes. He won a popular vote.
When I'm up before the sun to teach a beach Pilates class, I rely on one thing to keep me energized, nourished, and feeling my best, and that's a Kachava whole body meal shake. While Kachava is packed with 25.
Yes. He won a popular vote. The vast majority of people voted knowing that the Department of Education was going to get eliminated.
If you truly believe that the vast majority of people were educated enough about the fact of Donald Trump's opinion on
voters
the
aren't very
department
smart. Now that's what we're going after.
No, I'm simply just responding to what you said. What you said
Insult
is
the voters. They don't know.
No, I know a lot of people that voted for Trump who had absolutely no idea that he was going to defund the. And of course, this is just an anecdote, but I know that this is the truth. Not everybody, when they vote.
See, what I think happens is that he knows he's supposed to be outraged about it, but he doesn't get that, that's it. The state is your parent. We gotta be there as the state to inject your kids with the fucking transgender ideology and the Common Core math and all of this bullshit. He just knows that you know what I mean? Like, who the fuck his age gives a fuck about the Department of Education, especially if he actually knows anything about it or the history, right? So, once again, fake argument. He doesn't really care, and he doesn't know. And so he's just like coming up with reasons to justify why he cares, because he doesn't really. So he's gonna have this play debate with Kirk here.
Looks at every single little thing and every little aspect, like you and I might, of why we would vote for somebody. Like, we're both political commentators.
Right. Fine. And as a political commentator, then I will argue more forcefully against you, because now you're not just like a college kid searching for this. Has education in America improved or gotten worse since the Department of Education was formed?
It has literally been 3 months. I have absolutely no idea.
Since the Department of Education was formed in the 70s. We now have 50 years of evidence. Has American education gotten better since we've...
See, I'm arguing at the big kids table, at the adult table. So my argument isn't, he's not a lib trying to fund the Department of Education while I make a straw man argument trying to pick away at his position, arguing whether or not his chosen officials are doing a good job. I'm already at the adult table. I'm already having the real argument. I don't believe we should have a Department of Education. That is the actual debate. He doesn't want to... See what I'm saying here?
A Department of Education, or has it gotten worse?
I personally don't think that has to do with the Department of Education.
Well, when you've spent over $4.5 trillion with one federal department, and we have 30 schools in Chicago where a fifth grader cannot read at grade level. We have 35 schools in Baltimore where kids cannot do math or reading at grade level. We cannot find a single school, not a single school in downtown Detroit, where by the time they graduate high school in the heavily black areas, that they're proficient in reading or math. We are now like 31st in the industrialized world of education. We spend more in education than almost any other country per capita, and yet our results are worse. Maybe it's because
America's a bad country. We shouldn't be number one. We are morally... I, as the liberal, look at the Alex Jones dynamic there, of him talking about people being like, oh, he's a standard, so... to be holier than thou, as in, oh, Alex Jones is actually a fucking this, that, and the third thing, and I am the truth sayer, not him. Look at me. So, I am the morally upright liberal who hates America because it is bad. Therefore, just flip all these numbers backwards. And so whatever is good is actually bad and an annoyance to this guy.
Send all this money to D.C. to overly centralize the way we educate, and the Department of Education has been a complete disaster. And so we can go anywhere you want with this discussion.
I'm just going to say one more thing about this and we can move on. And thank you for talking to me for this long. I really appreciate it. But you're talking about like people that are coming from poor backgrounds where education in their families is not a part of the way that they're raised. Of course, they're going to be the ones that have a lower...
No, that's not correct. You see,
I highly doubt it.
The competing Catholics...
Of course, the lower IQ... Listen to his argument. Of course, the lower IQ people from households with backgrounds that don't support their educations are going to, what? Vote for Trump? That's your argument, buddy?
In the same area that do it for 2/3 less money. Almost all the kids...
I don't think that really applies this day and age with the internet existing. I mean, you can have...
Donors. So take, for example, in down...
Not that my family didn't, support me in my pursuits of study and the growth of my mind when I was a kid. But, you can have one of them fucking... You ain't gonna do no college book learning, no kid of mine's gonna get a fucking edumacation type families. But the internet exists these days. So you know what I mean? You see the debate around the worth of a college degree. So you can have one of those kind of families and just be in your room on your laptop or your phone or whatever and educate yourself and learn what's going on and, become relatively knowledgeable about a lot of shit this day and age.
downtown Chicago or downtown Philadelphia. The private Catholic school can educate a kid.
You don't
for
need a
around
fucking
$12,000
college
a year.
degree to
Philadelphia,
look
it's
at
about
debates and
$30,000
shit.
a year, and none of the kids can read. So the local
And
religious
understand
school,
issues
they
like
have kids
this.
that are less likely to be unruly, less likely to commit crimes. They're more likely
These
to graduate
guys have
high
been
school and college. They
bullshitted
can
into
read and they
thinking
can
you
do
need a
math.
degree
And
to
yet the local
understand the
public
difference
school
between a
spends
man and a
triple what the
woman.
local Catholic school does, and they can't do any of that stuff. Why? Because a government-run program of education has been a failure in this country, and that's what President Trump is doing by abolishing the Department of Education.
Okay, so how, if there's no public, I'm not saying that the public education system is perfect. I'm saying that, having, I think the privatization of public things in general is bad, and obviously that's a very...
Why would you say that? So, I mean that's just, we can go through the list of that, but...
Because getting rid of, for example, DEI, or getting rid of, and again, I'm not super pro-DEI or anything.
Therefore, the governmentization of things is good. Like, maybe all the social media platforms that you don't like us talking on should be run by the government and socialized, right? Right, bud?
I grew up in California. I'll put it that way.
I'll try to apply it to yours.
Okay, I grew up in one of the most expensive towns in California.
I bet.
Okay, Montecito, I don't know, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, something like that. I don't want to talk because I'm a political commentator. I'm not saying my name, but
you want the borders wide open, don't you?
82-inch TVs in my school for a public school when other kids in Compton had absolutely nothing, and I know a big part of that is...
They didn't even know how to use a laptop or get an ID, didn't they?
Let's just get down to the core of it, which is that...
They didn't know how to use the internet.
Are the private schools or the public schools more desirable?
It's kind of complicated because we have charter schools that are public.
You know, and why not get an abortion? Because what kind of life are these people going to lead? That's a nice liberal argument. Loving, caring, inclusive.
You should be able to go to whatever the school of your choosing.
Sustainable. They like that word.
You talk about these ones in Chicago, cherry pick data. When we're talking about San Diego, they cost about $40,000 a year.
It's not.
Just step on his head. Just step on his head, Charlie.
Like a single example of a Catholic school that's publicly funded.
He's never gonna pick away at all the fucking island of the moral high ground here.
The reality is that the majority of them, you have to pay an exorbitant amount of money.
He's drowning. Step on his head.
But then what per capita, per pupil in San Diego? What do you think they charge per student in the public school? Anywhere between $25,000 to $35,000.
I have no idea, and I don't think that it has anything to do with the debate we're having.
No, it has everything to do with it. And I'll just close with this. So there's 21 million people that work for the government in this country. 11 million education.
Too many.
11 million in education. How many of the 11 million do you think are teachers?
I see. You're just coming up. Look.
No, it's super.
Can you repeat your question? Because
no, it's
I thought we were going to continue because we barely talked about anything I want to talk about.
Well, no, I mean we did freewheeling. That's what this is, right? So there's 11 million people that work in education in America. How many would you guess are teachers?
I'm assuming that it's very bloated, and I'm just going to guess that 2 million are teachers.
Yeah, it's about 2 to 3. It's like 3.5 to 4 million. So that means that
I was actually going to guess way
lower
lower than that, but I wouldn't use the word bloated because I've been to fucking school. What do you mean?
Why is that important? Because we've not been funding teachers or education the last 30 years. We've been funding unnecessarily bureaucracy in our education the last 30 years.
Hold on. Bloated is the word he used. I mean, I haven't been to school since I was a kid, but when I was a kid, we'd be sitting in a class with we'd have like 100 motherfucking kids and a teacher with a teacher's assistant. Like, what does he mean, bloated? The school system, see, big boy debate, you want to have the fake debate about whether or not the military is doing a good job when you think it shouldn't exist. Let's have the real debate about the bloated ass school system.
Let's to abolish it. Thank you for your time. I got to get to the next question. Thank you. Hello.
Hi. My name's Ellie. Overall, just to go into my question, I am conservative. So going into this, I was like, what should I ask you about? I think overall, I was going through different policies, and in general, I agree. Ultimately, I think. The topic of my question is how to approach politics in school and in general with this function. I've found that a lot of times when I talk to people who are on the other side of me, they are surprised to find out what I think, and my ideas are not that crazy. It's like when you actually get into the meat of it, it's like, oh, actually, maybe it does make sense. And so I think it's really valuable to start giving these ideas to the world. And so this is one of these options, but
I swear to God, one time, during Trump's first run at the presidency, I had a conversation in the downtown Commons with a random black guy and a Muslim, and like we got into the topic of politics, and when Trump came up, I swear to God, it was like one of those Mexican standoff moments where everybody kind of squared up, like, is this going to turn into a fucking fight? And it was like one of those comedic kind of scenes where a jump cut happens and it says 15 minutes later and we're shaking hands and the guy's like, yeah, you know what, I can see that, those are some pretty good points, that kind of a thing. Like, I swear to fucking God, and it's hilarious like that. Like, there are the screeching ones, and then there are the people that you can actually talk to. And I think it's important to not give up on the people that you can actually talk to, because there are plenty of people who are just looking at all of this going, holy fuck, you know, look at all of this. And they don't really know. And so, but you know, they're gonna hear the fucking lunacy that comes out of the other side's mouth when they talk to them. So, yeah, like that happens all the time. You have people surprised, like, oh, this is. I mean, my own group has libs in it, a good decent little handful that joined up, and you could tell from the comments in the atmosphere when they first got in the group, they were like, all right, you know what I mean, like they discovered it, and they were like, all right, what is this fucking Green Hill Radio shit? Damn, Trump supporter, huh? Well, that's interesting, huh? Scroll a little bit more. Oh, look at that. Oh, well, I didn't know that. Oh, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like they come in expecting whatever they're expecting, and they find what they find. And then, like, the fucking hate stops, basically.
my question is this the best way? Because when I hear, like, for example, on Reddit, they're like, don't approach him, don't do this, he's just doing that, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's using all these tactics. And so I wonder if you've considered, not to say that this is a bad way to go about it, but if there's maybe a slightly better way, because I think what you're saying has a lot of value in this world, but it's like in this school specifically, it is thought of as evil and as like not like a valid way to think.
That's a UC San Diego problem, not a Charlie Kirk problem,
no,
right?
and it's not, and it's not to say it's a problem of you. No.
And I meaning, like, and I read there was some op-ed journalists where they said ignore Charlie, ignore him. But what they're saying is that they are not either smart enough or they're not intellectually mature enough to have a discussion with a conservative on any issue. I have literally almost no notes. I have like a couple charts to show you if the topics come up. You guys can use AI, you guys can use Grok, you can use whatever you want. You could bring a professor, you could bring 5 of your top libs together, debate me, right?
Yeah.
Right, other side? Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. And you guys can debate me at any time. I fail to understand why, well, actually I know the reason. Speech is not a left-wing value. And they do not believe in freedom of speech, they believe in totalitarian control. There are exceptions to that. So if they have a problem, I think this is one of the best ways, not the best way. I literally
they're like a dog.
Open to disagreement.
They're like a dog chasing a truck, though. Like, they know what they don't want to hear, and they're really mad and loud about demanding not to hear it, but they don't understand what the implications are if they actually catch the truck and have to live with, like, it's a Pandora's box. It's a jar of worms that once you open it up, the cat's out of the bag and there's no putting them back in. And you know, so you will be an old man one day having to look at the evolved consequences of what you started by creating the precedent for the government to be able to control what you say.
If you disagree, you go to the front of the line.
Yeah.
And
while younger generations that you may not agree with are in
campus,
control.
right, and being welcomed ever.
Oh, absolutely, almost never. Definitely
Because
not in
speech
class.
is not a left-wing value.
No, but to say that, I mean, with all of that being said, it is very true. But ultimately, what happens here is I see a lot of, like, the ideas just being like bubbled against, and so like when I talk to my friends, their ideas aren't changed from these conversations, and so I wonder if there's just like a.
You would be surprised. I'm sorry to interrupt. What happens here gets seen hundreds of millions of times on social
absolutely,
media.
yes.
The crowds are growing, and so look, some people are going to remain closed-minded. They're not going to, have their horizons open, but that's on them, right? They have to actually want to pursue the truth and not just have their own worldview confirmed.
And then I guess that's where I disagree, because I think fundamentally there is truth within anything, and I believe that maybe I would ask you like to see that like you have a big role in this. You have a big fan base and a big media base, but you are making incredible change, and to take it one step further would be really trying to push the narrative against this being like a place where people are just like debating. It's more than that.
What would you like to see?
I guess maybe it's more of a question. I guess I don't know. Moving forward, like trying to maybe to see that like instead of using these really fast tactics and to really like try to bring it down. Not to say someone is not to say that they're no.
I disagree with all that. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you're thinking way too much about libs on Reddit. I care about normal people, so.
No,
I mean, you did bring up Reddit. I'm sorry. You're like.
No, I guess that's true. No, and I guess
so
maybe
these people are not well socially adjusted, right?
I don't know
I've
what she
talked to
means
the
by
90% of the
fast
American
tactics.
people
Like, what does that
actually
even
wanna
mean?
Make something of their life.
You should
have
ask
kids.
that.
No, and I couldn't agree more with that like stance. I guess maybe stepping away from Reddit, it's to me the people on this campus. This is a school I go to, and almost everyone I'm surrounded with has a completely different view from me, and I
Not everybody.
No, and this is like, but this like the people here to find them, it feels like you're like sifting through a needle in a haystack.
You want a hat?
Sure.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Disagreements, come to the front of the line. Yes.
So I have a couple points that I want to talk about in illegal immigration. Is it okay if I say all of them with no interruption? Okay. So first, illegal immigrants power our economy. They're 50% of U.S. farm workers, harvesting the food on our tables, and fill 70% of.
See, that's a good thing. It's a good thing, I guess. Shouldn't do anything about that. You see, buddy, that is what you would normally call a problem, not something that you would like to defend. Like, stay away from the fucking giant gash in my fucking wrist with the blood squirting out. Like, stop. Stay away from the hole in the side of the boat with fucking the water pouring in, Hey, stay away from the hole in the raft with all the air coming out. Fucking jeez. This is just like that article when it was CNN or somebody else equally stupid was like if Trump takes out the drug cartels, it'll have a negative impact on the economy, because and it's like you can't even say the rest of it without hitting the wall where normal people at some point should hit a fucking wall of logic and be like, oh, you know what I mean? Logic should kick in before you even finish reading that sentence, and then you have a little mini epiphany and realize the fucking problem there and go, oh, that isn't some, the normal human brain. God, I'm not Charlie Kirk, so excuse me if I go a little Foley on this dude. I'm really holding myself back from using the names of several different great apes to describe this mentality. You get halfway through the sentence, you should fucking hit a logic moment where you go, oh, enough of the economy is powered by the trafficking of illegal drugs from Mexican cartels that it would damage the economy if the drug flow stopped. That's not good. That's a problem we should probably solve. That's not something we should, like, who the fuck sits there and goes we can't, like, we get, like, what you see what I'm saying? And so many, all of these lib positions are at the kiddie table inverse of reality shit, you know. Jesus Christ.
Construction jobs in states like Texas. They pay $13 billion annually in taxes, including $2 billion to Social Security that they can't claim. Deporting them would slash agriculture output by $60 billion and raise food prices by 6%. Why gut our farms and wallets when these were
Better not try to solve the problem. You know, hey, the economy, a lot of money goes through Mexico with the fentanyl trade and the methamphetamine and the heroin and all that, you know. It's a lot, it's billions and billions of dollars. Better not try to solve that like you're defending the problem. It's like resetting a broken leg might hurt a bit. You know, don't, like, this is the left. This is the left. This is, the left is a child trying to swat your hand away from putting a Band-Aid on the cut because it doesn't fucking understand.
fuel our prosperity. That's my first point. Second point, they strengthen our communities with lower crime rates. So in Texas, undocumented immigrants have a 26% lower homicide conviction rates. So, which is 2.2 per 100,000 versus 3 for native-born citizens.
Oh, it's so hard to
Immigrants
get
are
through.
incarcerated at half the rate of native-born, where it's 0.85% versus 1.7.
How are the random people that you don't know who they are? Like, I mean,
1%. That's according to Bureau of Justice Statistics from 2019. So, if safety is your goal, why deport people who make our streets safer?
oh my
That's my third
god,
point.
dude.
Mass deportation tears apart American families.
And I love this argument too of the illegal immigrants. Like, that's a sign of a problem. Again, naturally, murders and thefts are going to occur in any country. But here's a wild idea. Maybe in Japan, the murders and thefts that occur in Japan are committed by Japanese people. And then those guys are dealt with. And maybe in Germany, the murders and thefts are committed. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying here? The idea that illegal immigrants are coming into play statistically is a sign of a problem. Yeah, murders and thefts are going to happen. If you have, like, that's like saying, you know, don't fucking have a bathtub with water in it on the ship. Somebody might drown in that bathtub while standing hip deep in the water coming in from the fucking hole in the side of the ship.
There's over 4.4 million U.S. citizens. Children have an undocumented parent, and in Texas, 1 in 7 kids lives in a mixed status household. Okay, this is my fourth point. Deportation is a fiscal nightmare. Removing 11 million people would cost 315 to 400 billion. More than the entire Homeland Security budget, and shrink our GDP by 1.7 trillion over 10 years. And this is my last point. Our immigration system is broken, pushing people to cross illegally. Visa waits Mexicans can
Another problem. How are you using a problem that needs to be solved as a justification to not solve another problem?
20 years, and the asylum blockage is 1.3 million cases, with hearings 4 to 6 years out. Okay.
Well, I guess we throw our hands up
That's
and
pretty
give
much
up
it.
and just,
Yeah,
let the
yeah.
fucking
Alright, so
shit,
without
everything
looking at
burn
this
to
on
the
the
ground
what
and
should the
the
penalty
system
be for
collapse.
breaking into America?
I think there should be a system where it's more merit-based. So if this
No
person
penalty. So what is the penalty? So what
yeah, well,
should
it's
happen
a
to you?
felony. It's not a felony. It's a
No,
misdemeanor.
it is. That's not true. It's 8 USC
It's a
1312. You can
misdemeanor.
look it up right now.
It's a felony if it's done twice.
You think there should be a meritocracy? Really? That is fascinating. You've got to be kidding me. Let that sink in.
If
No,
you try to
that's not
cross
correct.
that is correct.
That is not correct. It's
I googled it, dude.
to illegally go across the southern border with the well intent to come into harbor yourself into the interior of the United States to violate.
You know what? He's right. A meritocracy in America. Since you're going to cross the border illegally, we need a meritocracy at least. So we're going to fill that river with fucking crocodiles. I don't know why that's, Florida or whatever, they complain about having too many of them. And we got invasive Burmese pythons and shit. Fucking just dump all those in the river, all right? And that way, only the strongest Mexicans will get through. The best of the best. Like, come on now.
USC 1312.
Use some fucking
It's a
brains.
felony in the federal criminal code. Now, it can be
Like
enforced as a misdemeanor.
You don't think we should have a system. You're arguing for 20 million random people to fucking stay in the country?
Or it can be upwards to 5 years in prison. Now, I want to know, since it's a felony, law in the books, 8 USC 1312, what should the penalty be?
Well...
Remember when that was a conspiracy theory? There isn't 11 million. There isn't millions of people milling about in the fucking...
They're, what do you call it? They're, sorry. Usually the like, the... Sorry. Wait, sorry, can I check my phone real quick? I apologize.
What was he even Obama-ing about?
No, since it's a felony, law in the books, violation of 8 USC 1312, which is a felony in the federal criminal code. Now, it can be enforced as a misdemeanor, or it can be
Shit that,
upwards to
like,
5
I
years
mean,
in
you
prison.
know...
Now, I want to know, since it's a felony, law in the books, 8 USC 1312, what should the penalty...
He's going too deep for this guy. You don't need to go this deep for this guy. You can just point out with a few sentences all of the logical fuck-ups of his ridiculous series of points that he made.
Well...
Like I just did.
In my opinion, these kinds of, like, laws are usually, they're, what do you
I should have been Kirk's fucking white people translator like Luther for Obama. I think that's what the character's name was.
Like,
Just be standing there next to him. Like, you're an idiot.
I apologize.
Hey, maybe I would have gotten fucking shot. Instead, they would have been like, take out the anger translator. That guy's a fucking annoying asshole.
For someone that breaks or comes into America illegally, what should the penalty be?
I think there should be a merit system where the people... Okay, the penalty...
All
right, let's...
That's not the answer. It's a very simple moral and legal question.
Okay,
what should the penalty be if you come into America illegally?
Okay, so since it's a misdemeanor, not a felony, misdemeanors are...
I just
Bro.
told you it's not 8. You can look up on
Bro.
ChatGPT. What is 8 USC?
Bro.
Look up what is...
Deportation. Right? And so... But now, what's the problem? Well... I mean, do I have to... Look, it's just funny to me, again, logical fuck-ups, right? Offensive to everybody that lived through World War II and an insult. You know, anybody that went through any hard times in Germany during World War II wish that that fucking Hitler deported people. So, like, it really is this series of fake arguments stacked on top of each other. So just correct that, right? Hitler didn't deport people, all right? So, deporting people makes you a Nazi, makes you Hitler. Once again, yeah? What kind of life would these people lead? Oh, do you see it now? Do you see the lib logic? It must mean that these countries are so bad that it's a death sentence, you're saying, right? To go back? What are you saying? You see how this flip-flops back and forth? America is a trash hole. It sucks here. Somalia is better. Ian Omar, whatever her name is. Elaine, whatever. America's worse than Somalia. Somalian immigrants get deported, kicks and screams as if it was a death sentence. Well, which is it, bitch? You see how this is?
USC 1312.
No, I know. I've already looked it up.
Yes,
when it's your second time crossing the border illegally, then it becomes a felony.
It can be, and it is enforced as a felony, and it usually is done as a misdemeanor citation because no.
The only reason why it should be a misdemeanor or a citation or anything that sounds remotely close to a traffic ticket is if it's like plainly fucking obvious that you're just some yokel who didn't know where he was. You were dirt biking or four-wheeling around and you know what I mean? You don't accidentally swim across the whole fucking damn river into the United States, you know, and find yourself wandering around fucking Texas or Arizona or whatever. All right? You don't give somebody the verbal equivalent of a fucking traffic ticket for that. Right? Like, the only reason why there should be a fucking like you get deported, the second chance, no, you go to jail, or we have some kind of fucking, I don't know, you know, it depends upon working with South American countries and in different countries, but like, you know, your country of origin as a fucking like a incentive to dissuade this kind of shit should have to fucking pay for imprisoning your ass. Not saying forever, you know, but go to jail for a year or something. The fuck? Because, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, if you're accidentally too far south coming in from Canada, lost in the woods on a dirt bike, like, I can see that, right? But when we have a fucking river and this desert and like a, you know, multiple checkpoints, I'm assuming that there's areas of the US-Canadian border where it's just vast forest and you could actually accidentally stumble across this shit and not realize it, you know, but on the southern border, that's not the case.
Has the stones to do 20 million felony, applications.
Okay.
So I just want to ask,
Yeah.
what should the penalty be then for someone that comes into this country illegally?
Usually there's three ways that go about this when there's a penalty. There's either like a fine, or there's some kind of like public service that this person does, or you send them back. But
send them back. I agree. That's what we should do.
Okay. So this is interesting. So one of the statistics that I read said that illegal immigrants don't cause as much like they don't break the law as often as people who are native born.
Well, hold on,
that is a statistic.
But every single one of them are criminals. They're all criminals.
Okay, sure, by law.
Well, hold
by
on.
law.
No,
okay,
no.
by law, of course.
But
Of course they are.
so if they commit less crime and they're all criminals, Wait a
Okay,
second.
so
By
you're basically-
definition,
yeah.
they all have broken the law by being here, and they break
Okay.
the law every day by staying here, because you're
Okay.
actually not allowed to stay here either. Do you know that?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
every
yeah.
day you're here, you're actually continually breaking the law. You can't break in or harbor. That's what the federal law says.
Okay.
So by breaking in, it's not just the only law they broke. Every second you remain here, you're also
Yeah.
breaking the law. So that statistic is invalidated by just them breathing here. They're breaking the law.
No, of course not. Of course not. So, of course, it makes sense for them when they're here. They're breaking the law because they're illegal immigrants, obviously. But once they're okay, yeah. Of course. So once they're here, once they are here, what kind of harm are they actually doing? When you look at the number.
Jesus Christ, buddy. You know, there are 350 million or more Americans. There are fucking 20 million of them. I hope that we're committing more crimes in our own fucking country than random people that we don't know who the hell they are and they just came across the border. I mean, what the fuck? You deal with it. Like, I mean, come on. These are such
lie.
stupid
No,
arguments.
that's not true. Okay,
Black
so
wages have
in
gone
Texas,
down.
okay, in Texas,
DUIs have gone up
Try
dramatically.
not to interrupt, bro.
Well,
Okay,
hold
so
on. I'm interjecting, and I let you go uninterrupted with your whole soliloquy,
true,
right?
yeah, thank you.
So let me ask you a question now.
okay,
So, if it is correct
yeah,
that illegal aliens commit less crimes, which of course it's not correct.
that is correct. Look
No,
it up. In
but
Texas, they made a
is-
study in
is
2019.
is
26% are
is
lower.
any crime? It's just not correct. But I'm
That
not going
is
to debate that.
correct.
It's I just proved it at its face because they commit a crime by being here every day. That is a crime.
Okay, once they are here, what kind of crimes are they committing? Which is
Okay, well,
they're 26%.
do you know the
26%
name
less.
Laken Riley?
No, educate me.
Wow.
No.
No.
Do you know? Wow. Do you know the name
Oh.
Rachel Morin?
No, I don't.
Wow.
Wait, educate
Okay.
me. What?
So Laken Riley was a girl at the University of Georgia.
Okay.
There was a peeping Tommy, illegal alien, that was deported 5 times prior, and Biden kept on letting him back in. He hunted her down, raped her, sodomized her, and murdered her on a hiking trail, University of Georgia.
Okay. So
Rachel,
one person doesn't represent
hold
all
on a
illegal
second.
immigrants.
Every person who is killed by an illegal alien is one that should not happen. Every single one.
Of course, and also
And-
the ones that are
And
native born.
everyone.
As
And so
well as
that's
the
the
ones who are
point.
native born.
Is that it's not a matter
As
of the
well as who are
rate.
native born.
The rate. Even if I accept your premise.
Oh my god, dude.
We're gonna be in for quite a banger year with the highlight guys.
That's the
Ones who are
point.
native born.
It-
This is like standing on a burning bridge and like arguing what to do about it. If we should do something about it, should we do something about it? Should we move forward? Should we move back? Should we jump off into the water below? Versus the next bridge that we don't even know if it's burning yet. Like the Americans that are here already are the Americans that are here already, obviously. You know? So we obviously already have the Americans that are here. And if any of them commit a crime, then that's something that we got to deal with. That's, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, fire. Right? But we don't need to stand here on the current burning fucking bridge for no reason. Like this is like the difference between somebody else having a gun to your head and you having a gun to your own head. Wasn't that an Eminem ride trying to hitchhike with a gun to my head or some shit like that? Like, you can easily stop yourself from shooting yourself in the head. All you have to do is not do it. It's that fucking simple. Like you have a whole 100% chance of getting shot in the head that you can decrease by 100% if you simply take your finger off the trigger and put the fucking gun down. You have all of these people who shouldn't be in the country anyway, this massive possibility of crime, extra crime to be committed that you could get rid of very easily by just following the already on the fucking books law and common sense. You know, if little baby whatever the fuck grows up to be a serial killer, we'll deal with that bridge when we come to it. That's a totally different That's a totally different. You see what's going on here?
That it's not a matter of the rate.
Native born.
The rate, even if I accept your premise, which is incorrect, the rate is irrelevant. The number is what's relevant. There should be zero illegal aliens. There should be zero Americans being killed by illegals. Not to mention there's 6 other problems with illegal aliens. They steal social security numbers. They depress wages. They are heavily involved. By the way, not
Like I mean I don't know. I don't. Like I debate people in the comment section, so I'm reading shit. You know, the time lapse is different. I don't debate people like Charlie Kirk does. But also at the same time, you know, I'm very concretely cemented in a certain level of logic. And so it's almost like nails on a chalkboard to hear this inverse reality, nonsense and bullshit stacked on top of crap and vomit in order to create this dog shit tower instead of a straw man, this siege tower of crap that they use to try to just fucking, you know, I mean, what lunatic garbage this dude has been arguing from beginning to end. And just like that small moment, you know, throughout the debate with the first guy, he tried to come off as the reasonable lib, but the mask slipped for a second there, and he revealed himself and said, well, actually, I don't care about the numbers. I want the military to be smaller. Well, see, there's the fucking point. You know? And so this guy, that dude said he was an influencer, a content creator. He makes videos. So he's got to do that. Otherwise, fucking, you know, like he said, the echo chamber thing. Nobody other than the bottom of the swamp muck with fucking, you know, nose rings and purple hair is going to listen to him. Unless he has that moderate trying to sound tone. But at the end of the day, his entire logic system is the kind of trite and nonsense that this fucking guy is talking about.
Mention. A lot of people that cross on the southern border are also smuggling girls, weapons, and drugs alongside the southern border when they come. It's the largest slavery operation in American history that many illegal aliens helped make possible on the southern border. And I guess the final question I'll have is, should a government serve its citizens first and foremost?
Yeah, of course. Well, okay, there's been many people who are like very political leaders who have said that this place is built off of immigrants.
Oh, is it? Wait, hold on. Let's think about that.
Sure.
First of all, it's legal, not illegal. But was America founded by immigrants or settlers?
Settlers.
This place was built off of immigrants. Yeah, like, you know, illegal immigrants just fucking, like, immigrated illegally to the United States. See the conflation here? What a lovely... I don't know, I just like to dissect and outline and lay out the logic. This place was... Like, what are we supposed to take away from that? What is that supposed to mean? This place was built by immigrants. You're right. You know, random Chinese, Mexicans, and Somalians, and people from fucking Guatemala came over to the United States. They built the Hoover Dam, and then they just mystically melted off into the population without taking any credit for it. The America was built by... See the conflation? America was built by the 20 million illegal immigrants that are floating around in the country right now is what you're trying to do.
That's not an immigrant.
Yeah, okay, well, that's not my point. My point is that
just
people...
brought up the nation built by immigrants.
They're the same people. Hey, Pedro, who rode in on a fucking donkey with a sombrero in the Budweiser fucking commercial and became an astronaut, worked in the aerospace industry in 1950. The guy he's like the fucking equivalent of, you know, innumerable stories of so-and-so who lied about their age on their recruitment paperwork going in the military. That's the same fucking thing. You see, like, even if I search to the very bottom of the barrel and try to find some scrap, some kernel of truth to give credence
to this guy's fucking argument, that's about all I can summon. Is like a cherry-picked statistical aberration out of a fucking Budweiser commercial that they made in order to prove this very dumbass argument. So, like, it takes a multi-billion-dollar corporation's ad campaign in order to fucking... And who knows if that was even true.
Said that this place is built
Yeah, and they're
from
wrong.
immigrants. They're wrong? Political
Yes.
leaders are wrong.
Yes. It was built by immigrants, mainly the Irish and the Chinese. People who say that, they're I mean, when people talk about building the country, there's two aspects of the infrastructure that come to mind historically with that reference: the railroad and the cities, meaning the high-rise skyscrapers. Two different time periods, but built the country. The railroad, some freedmen, black guys, Asians, Chinese, Irish dudes. And some poor white people. A lot of poor, well, everybody was poor, but you know what I mean. You watch Hell on Wheels. Those white people look poor. But you get what I'm saying. Like it is not this magical fairy tale of mystical mental gymnastics that you got to do in order to create this like fantasy story, this fucking this bubblegum fucking fantasy land they live in. Like, of course, like, out of the same party, all of these women, countless videos, Paul Joseph Watson's channel's got shit tons of them. Pick name of fucking random girl at this point, because there's so many of them, decides to travel over to a country with a safety advisory because she's been told that, you know, single girl summer fucking travel trips over to Morocco or whatever, or, you know, it's the thing to do. It's safe. It's it's multicultural. It's inclusive, you know? Get out there. I mean, so naturally, these people that don't get the real world and end up in videos all the time, like the fucking, was the Italian biker couple that end up getting gang raped and fucking, I don't know, maybe if it was India or wherever the hell they were, you know? And they're like, this dumbass fucking, what was his name, who used to travel around eating all the worst meals and go, delicious. Like, no, you know, why Spade 7 response with that? Like, I don't know how to say it. Like, oh, aren't you so artsy and fucking pretentious with your, you know, go ahead. Let's take it to its fullest logical extent. Let's sit down and bite into that one tribe's mosquito burger that they gather up and pretend like it tastes good and we're just being cultural, you know? Like, that's
George W. Bush is wrong. All these political leaders who have built America is
By the way,
wrong.
the first person to say that was...
How is that wrong? When illegal immigrants make... they grow the economy.
Okay,
Statistically,
allow me
studies...
to build it out for you.
Sure.
Immigrants have helped at times in American history, but we are first and foremost a nation founded by settlers. Immigrants come to a country already built. Settlers come to a barren place and build something new.
Right.
This land was barren when people came. In the 1840s gold rush, this was not an easy place to live.
Yeah.
California
Immigrants
was not
immigrate,
exactly
though.
industrialized. There was not...
The Irish and Italians and Chinese that were coming over to the United States in massive droves back in the day were doing so legally. They came here and struggled and were treated like shit and worked and carved out their place in America, and it started off legally. And that's why they're a bit They're like battlefield players watching you walk around with the phantom bow for free. You know, well, not for free. Worse than that, you paid for the DLC. You paid for the stupid whatever microtransaction. They had to go through the operation and level up and grind and get points and actually get the phantom bow. They were pretty proud of that thing. Now your damn ass bought the thing for $5.99 in a microtransaction. Get the hell out of here. Like, that's, like, I feel you. I feel you. Your family and your background and lineage went through 1920s era America. Just think of, you can picture a movie scene right now of steamy ass wooden carriage drawn by a horse with shit in the street, New York, getting off at Ellis Island, fucking not a damn thing but a suitcase. Like the situations aren't even comparable.
Immigrants coming west to California, those were settlers building a new place around, you know, Western values. Finally, I would just ask the question: do you see a moral distinction between a legal immigrant and an illegal immigrant?
Well, the argument is that they're cutting in line. Like, the argument is that they're cutting in line in the 20-year process that it would take for someone to cross.
What you have to realize is that these people are essentially the assistant of the guy at the gate that cranks the gate open to let everybody, the invading army, in. And I know I'm pausing this every 5 seconds. I'm just going to end this video soon because I can pick apart every little bit of this dumb bullshit. But this is the dynamic at play, alright? You hate the country, you hate America. You think that everybody here, but not you, of course, no. But everybody here should migrate back to fucking Europe, and we'll leave the entire continent to what's left of the Native Americans, and I'm sure they'll develop a society that will fucking, you know, if they, and no, not to be a bastard or anything, if they all moved together and just held one state together, I'm sure they could do it without the infrastructure falling the fuck apart. But the rest of the country is going to be they don't have the population, but that's what they want. That's what you want. You know? And, but so, you know, that's what it is. Never mind the morality debate. So this is what it is. Like, this is another one of these instances where they're sitting at the kids' table having a fake argument, and they don't want to come to the adult table of, all right, so you think the country shouldn't exist to begin with because we came over here and stole the fucking land, you know? So it's not about arguing whether or not the system is functional or should continue to function. Like, once again, it's not about if Pete Hegseth is doing a good job with the military. You don't want the military to be big to begin with. So you're having a fake argument with me. Let's have the debate about whether or not the military should be big. Let's not have this fake argument. Let's have the debate, because that's what you really want to talk about, whether or not the country should exist at all. It's stolen land. Right?
It's not 20. But yeah.
At most it's 20. At most it's 20. Right now there's around like 1.2 million people who are currently waiting that would take 6 to 7 years for a hearing.
And by the way, no one has a right to come to this country,
Of
just
course,
to be
wait,
clear.
let me stay on track of what I was going to say. Okay, so people who come here usually...
Yeah, let me just stay on track with what I was going to say. I've like stolen this entire thing and taken it as a moment to rant, but whatever. So I mean, like, really, you know, you see how this is all a weaselly play fight tactic. You know, and he doesn't even know he's doing it, really. Probably. I mean, it's fully possible that he is, like, he's fully realized all of this, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna be number fucking whatever of dudes to fight the gorilla, and throw my little bit of weight into this thing. Like, he fully knows the goals, right? And so he's doing it on purpose. He doesn't realize, or he really doesn't realize, like, his entire argument structure and logic system is this shit that I've been talking about throughout this video. So basically, like, we'll do this weaselly little, mole rat digging through the dirt. I'm running out of shit to call it. We'll do this little weaselly fake argument stuff. Because you want to beat the straw man instead of having the big kid argument, in hopes that if you beat the straw man, you won't have to have the big kid argument, because the actual man will fall over, right? Fucking debate voodoo is what these people do. So if you can create enough buzz to hypnotize the rest of the potentially useful idiots into making the same arguments so that they're popular and it kind of engulfs all the air in the room and becomes the talking points of the nation, you want the nation's epiphany moment to be, we should migrate back to Europe, And so you're not an American, not really. You're looking at America as, somebody who can't wait to get off the boat. You're looking at America, you've decided you're not a member of this crew, and you don't want the country to exist. And you guys are just hoping that we just kind of abandon our posts in the debate so that you can create an even larger and larger straw man. I don't know why, maybe Charlie didn't realize this when he was debating these guys, at least in this instance. And maybe previous, like I said, this is really actually the first time I've ever watched anything longer than his shorts. So, I don't know really how these debates tend to play out most of the time. But that's basically what it is. Like, you're trying to promote this ideology as the prevailing system of thought to the degree where does this guy even get that? This dude in black here? Of course. Taking black back. Fuck you. Alright? I hate that shit too. Well, I've mentioned that plenty of times. So the girls with the dyed hair and the, you know, all the shit that we look at as a political stereotype now. I've mentioned this in plenty of times. Didn't have a political connotation back in the day. It was just considered you're a goth chick or whatever. You know, the fact that nose ring theory is even a thing I find disturbing. Anyway, I'm getting off track. But we can have the debate. We can be at the adult table and have the debate about the morality of taking the country from the Native Americans. That's the actual debate they want to have. I think they're wrong. I think they're wrong. Now, if you want to transport goofball here back to the fucking original colonies and let him debate the founding fathers about expansion, that's one thing. You know, then fine. He could go back then and be the moral supremacist standing upon his fucking high ground and have that conversation. It's too fucking late for that conversation. No, we're not gonna throw the fucking country away, asshole. It's already here. Like, just, this is the reality of the situation. Not gonna be ashamed of what it turned into. We're not gonna be ashamed of the founding documents, of what of the vision that we weren't yet ready to handle. It was a blueprint that we had to live up to. The founding fathers, remember, were a lot smarter than the average guy, and I guarantee you this fucking dipshit. And they knew. Are you kidding me? We talk about our, as millennials at least, I don't know if it's a stereotype with the younger kids, probably still, but we talk about our grandparents and our racist uncle at Thanksgiving dinner making a scene about some shit or whatever, you know, because they're old, right? Think about the profound nature of the statement, all men created equal in the eyes of God as images of God, right? They knew that the average person wasn't ready to live up to that blueprint. It was a pair of shoes to grow into. If we didn't eventually reach the point of equality that we have surpassed a while ago, we would be a failure. That's aside from, you know, I mean, nobody... Does anybody ever say, oh, what happened to the Clovis people? If you dig down, if you dig to the... if you dig far enough, you pass the Native American artifacts and eventually you hit the Clovis line. Did the Native Americans kill all the Clovis when they crossed the land bridges from China? Should we be shaming the Native Americans about any potential people they may have killed when they migrated over here like thousands of years ago? Like, should the Egyptians and the Jews still have beef? I mean, come on, think about it. Maybe we just hit the pause button and go, all right, we have these lines on the map. Let's all just take a break for a second here and stop fucking each other up over 2,000-year-old shit. Stop trying to shift the damn map around, all right? All the map makers are getting tired of this shit. Think about it. I don't know. I guess I'm done reacting to this, you know, like I can't anymore. Like, this guy's gonna say 2 words, I'm gonna be like, that's gay, pause, and then rattle on for another half an hour. Let's at least try to make it to the end of this guy.
Almost all the time when they come here, they
This might be a
benefit
record
society.
length
They
in
benefit
video
society.
time for
There's
me.
studies that have done this.
Not necessarily.
Okay, not necessarily, but overall in general.
But no,
when you look overall
I
in general,
fundamentally disagree with that.
You can't disagree with a fact.
Hold on. Do you think Elon Omar has enriched the United States of America?
I don't know who.
Do you think Rashida Tlaib? I mean, I could go through person by person by person.
So I don't know these people. Are these people who have are illegal immigrants that have caused harm?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure, kid. Elon Omar is an illegal immigrant that has caused harm. I just can't.
Oh, no, I don't mean to pick on you. It's fine.
Okay.
But I guess the final question is,
sure.
Do you have any concern that there are too many people coming into this country and we're a nation of strangers, not a nation of neighbors?
If the people who are coming are creating America, making it more growing, like the economy is growing, then what harm is that doing? Especially if the people who are coming are not...
an economy, though, aren't we? We're a culture. We're a language.
Yeah,
we're
of course.
people.
Okay.
Growing America and making the economy grow. But what does that, building America, but what does that really mean? Okay? You know, what does that really mean? Increasing the amount of dollar bills floating around in pockets because there are more people here? Alright, but why? Because what are we making? What jobs of worth do we even... look at our manufacturing. Remember when that was a joke for a while? Immigrants immigrating back to their countries of origin because they got here and was like, oh shit, yeah, newsflash, buddy. You want an American job? China is the place to go. You know?
Let's talk about that front. When they come here, they don't have any kind of... They're not committing as more crimes than the people who are already here. That is
we've already dispelled that, but
that is not. You can't
in
dispel a
California.
statistic.
Let's
What are
take
you talking
California.
about?
Do you think there's anything wrong that a majority of young people in California speak Spanish on English?
Name an infrastructure project that illegal immigrants spontaneously appeared and then built and then just melted off back into the woodwork.
Yeah, everyone should be able to have a ability to communicate with the rest of the crowd.
Mexicans, they're out there right now paving the road. Nobody knows who they are. They just showed up and decided to do a good thing.
Simple solution: teach them how to speak English. What is your point?
And our schools don't do that actually. And also, have a better solution.
Yeah.
Don't import a bunch of people that don't speak English.
You mean importing people who actually grow the economy?
Well, again, I reject your premise.
That's not a premise. That's a study that's been done.
Do you know what a premise is? I don't actually care as much about economic growth. Because we're one nation under GDP. We're not one nation under GDP. We're a nation under God. Yeah. And when we lose social cohesion, and you import a bunch of people that don't share our values, that don't necessarily always.
And he's basically pulling, probably. Well, I know what he's pulling, but any number of studies that were used to justify and come to the conclusion of the United Nations replacement migration open border policy. So basically the crux of it is that, we're not having children at the replacement rate. The population is shrinking. That's, bad for the economy. Whoa. And so you gotta have an open border and just let random everybody in. So this is basically what he's pulling on for the justification for his argument. Once again, not that he really cares. You gotta look at this through the lens of somebody who doesn't really know what the fuck is going on very much. Never mind what we're doing and what we're about. He doesn't even know the names of his own political candidates. So,
assimilate. That's a major and serious problem. And we are a people first and foremost with a creed, and that creed is falling apart. Mass migration has not helped that creed. Yes, they might buy more
he doesn't really know what's going on. He doesn't really care that much. He just knows that in order to be in with his crowd of people and his people that he knows, it's like a a cycle, a reoccurring cycle or self-fulfilling thingamajig. I'm sure there's a better term for this, but we do the same shit. We hang out with our friends that agree with us. But you know what I mean? He's just pretending to really care about the shit that he thinks will make him in with his crowd of people. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't really give a fuck about he doesn't know shit.
They might help depress wages. Mass migration, of course, can
Right,
help.
all good things, all great things for America.
They help major corporations, but you know what they also do? They keep down the wages of working people. If you are a plumber, yes, of course. If you think about it, if you're a plumber, electrician, or a welder, and you have to compete against someone from Nicaragua who's willing to do it for $5 less an hour, that depresses the wages of the American citizen.
Right. Yeah. So there's been studies that done that.
Fuck them though. They're white.
Illegal immigrants.
Well, let's use our reason.
What about the black ones? Don't worry about them.
Let's use our reason.
Just
How about our reason?
you know what I mean? Like this is like how this works.
Have wages gone
Fuck
up.
Americans, right? Huh?
I don't know.
I mean, that's,
Actually. So
you can picture it in your head. Room full of liberals, the NPC, Orange Man bad, yay! Fuck America, yay! Fucking...
For 10 years we've had 30 million people come into America. Wages have gone down dramatically.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason why.
Okay.
So what I encourage you to do, just because there's a study that confirms, you should use your reason and look actually at self-evident truths. Be like, does that make sense? Can you name
Statistics are self-evident.
Well, not always. Statistics are
Not
very
always?
misleading. Yes. Like, for example, I could say, did you know that 600 people a year die because of seatbelts? Well, that's a misleading statistic because over 100,000 lives are saved by seatbelts. That's an incomplete statistic.
Wait, okay, so where's so that's a gray area. So where's the gray area where people are talking about where 26% of illegal immigrants who come here commit less crimes than native born?
Okay, how many times have we been over this? That's just not correct.
Well,
it's
that
not
is
true.
correct.
Hold on.
That is
26% of illegal immigrants that come over here commit less crimes than, he never mind whatever he's trying to say not being correct. He didn't even say whatever the fuck it was that he was trying to say. What? Okay, buddy. Jesus Christ. Alright. What our fine chromosome collector here is trying to say is that there's only two ways you can say this. Either if you take 20 million random Americans and you take the 20 million illegal immigrants and you isolate them in two groups and see which group is committing more crimes amongst each other, right? Or you're talking about the entire country of Americans, total committed crimes versus the committed crimes of the illegal immigrants. Now, either the group of illegal immigrants, 20 million strong, is going to commit less crimes than the 20 million random Americans. All right? And if they do, you could say, well, that's a problem. Americans on average are committing more crimes. All right? Now that's one thing. Also, I don't believe that. I don't believe that, and we're of course talking about the tertiary crimes beyond the coming over here illegally. I'm sure you illegally crossed through several other countries in order to get to this one. Probably paid some criminal organizations along the way. All that's beside the point. like, these people don't even know like, you heard what he just said. He doesn't even know what he means when he says the illegal immigrant population commits less crime than the American population. What do you mean by that? Do you mean to tell me that 20 million people commit less crime than 300 million people? I sure fucking hope so. Or do you mean to tell me that 20 million people commit less crime than this group of 20 million people? Like, big boy table. Big boy britches. Come on, buddy. Say it with me now. Americans, and we mean white people, are inherently worse than everybody else.
This is a study that was done in Texas, the most diverse.
Again,
aren't I virtuous?
Every crime an illegal commits is one that should never have happened.
Okay.
It is a period. It should not be here. So I don't care about the rate. The rate is irrelevant. So let me just ask one final question.
Rate is relevant.
Someone broke into the country and cut in line. What should happen to them?
Well, they're given. Ideally, there's a system. Ideally, there's a system that's merit-based, where these people then become part of the citizen. Like, they become a legal citizen.
Yeah, I mean, we have clarity but not agreement. I say deport them all back to their country of origin and put Americans first.
That's not an appropriate solution.
The American people voted for it, and it is appropriate.
It isn't appropriate because most of the people that do come here illegally contribute positively to society.
They are.
Dude. Statistically,
I have
everything
been
backs
through,
this.
You're not listening to anything I'm saying, and that's fine. They take jobs from Americans, they depress wages, they steal social security numbers, they commit a crime every single day that they're here, they flood our public schools, they flood our social services, they flood our hospitals, they are a burden on the taxpayer. They should go back and make their own country great again and apply and become a legal immigrant if they want to live here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next question, yeah. Hi. Wow, that's aggressive.
Alright.
Okay, jeez.
Perfect.
Give that guy a Valium or something. Xanax. Jeez.
Good. Alright. Good morning. So I am conservative, but there is one thing that I did want to debate you on. So you say that college is a scam and that so many students go hundreds of thousands in debt and useless degrees. I completely agree with that. My question is, why is it on the institutions and colleges and not on the students, since we as conservatives always focus on personal responsibility? When a quick
That's a
Google
great
search.
question. Yeah, it should also be on the students as well.
All right. Is there any thing about the universities and universities should be doing then, since it is a capitalist society and they are trying to get profits?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I don't know what the endowment is here, but I think that the endowment should be used to help repay kids' student loans that they scammed. I think the fact that Harvard is sitting on $55 billion, I think that we should take the endowment money from places like Harvard, Princeton, and Yale and help kids pay off their student loans because they've been so severely scammed by the system.
And what can students do? I mean, there's Google, there's tons of things that I think personal responsibility is a huge issue that a lot of students that I know are blaming it on the universities when they pick degrees that don't have much money or job opportunity or things like that. What should students be doing?
Say that again? Sorry.
What should students be doing since it is a personal responsibility? And a lot of students are blaming the universities and colleges for tricking them when a quick Google search would suffice.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, again, that's why I don't think as many people should be going to college. So, yeah.
All right, thank you.
I'll sign your hat. Thank you. Yep. All right, disagreements, you guys can come up.
The jobs just don't exist. And I mean, your best bet really is the trades. From what I've seen and from what I've heard with people and just people that I've known. Anyway, actual, like, I mean, at least for the most part, like, you take something like tech, computer science, or business, or whatever, you spend fucking, years studying that, by the time you get out of college, all the shit that was written down in the books you were being read, and you know what I mean? Like, things are evolving so fast right now. You kind of like in the video game industry, you kind of like need an almost, you know, like if companies were to start small schools, if you will, that were dedicated to learning programming, essentially, so that the school and its information that it taught was as up to date with as little lag as possible, going with the industry that, you know, it's attached to the industry that it's about. And so then, and because of that, basically you are lined up for it to be a transitionary period where the information you're getting taught at the end of your term in school isn't going to have that much of a gap between what you're going to be expected to be doing your first day on the job. Like, I mean, if a huge company like Activision or whatever, that would be the Slytherin house, could make its own little mini college for learning programming, and then have that process, and that would be I would think a efficient way of like a macro internship. Well, you're getting yeah, and that ain't that some shit. Imagine that, paying motherfucking Activision to learn how to make video games so that you could get paid by Activision. Like, you'd be sitting there knowing that for a while all the money in your paychecks is money that you paid them. I personally would want to pay in cash, and I want the same notes back. I'm gonna draw on them with markers, because that'd be hilarious. But yeah, all right. That's my take on what might be a more efficient solution for college in this fast-paced world we live in, where, you know, things are moving so quickly that yeah, normal college basically useless. All right, guys, like, subscribe, peace.